Right, have you got any issues or problems with franchising? 922 882. Come and join the conversation because we've got the franchising expert in the studio right now. He's the director of the Business Development Alliance. I'm speaking of Mark Fernandez. Mark, good afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me here, Ollie.
My absolute pleasure. First and foremost, how do you go about buying a franchise?
Yeah, look, I guess it's about what are you looking to get into? You know, do you want to buy a job? Or do you want to have a sustained living standard, I guess? So, you know, you've got to select the job. You've got to select the franchise system. So we put people through a 50-point checklist to go through personally, and when they're selecting the industry and the franchisor. So they're actually interviewing the franchise systems as much as they're going to be interviewed.
Okay, why do people buy a franchise? I think you just said it's, what, a job or a lifestyle, or just to really control probably their own destiny, I suppose?
Yeah, look, going into a franchise system, it's all about being under that umbrella, getting the support, getting the systems, the policies, the procedures, and everything to run a small business. Rather than starting it yourself, that's why you go into a franchise system.
Okay. What do you do if you have some trouble, though, with your franchisor? Because that seems to be a common occurrence, and we hear that from our listeners. They all of a sudden go, I'm not making any money, or I'm finding it difficult to negotiate with my franchisor. What do they do?
Yeah, look, the starting point's always pick up the phone.
Yep.
You know, make an appointment, go and see them face to face. You know, that's the starting point. Try and get through all the issues if you can around a cup of coffee.
Yeah, just have a conversation.
Yeah, and look, people are too scared, too embarrassed to do things like that because they have a lot of money invested. And perhaps, you know, they feel guilty that maybe they haven't done the right thing.
If you go back a step and you want to own your own franchise, how important is it, though, to do that due diligence and to have a good look at the ramifications, the contract, what you need to do to make sure what you're signing up to, you're well aware of your own rights and legal responsibilities?
Yeah, look, Ollie, it's critical. It's critical. In the back of the franchise arrangement or the agreement, there's 3 certificates that need to be signed off. One by an accountant, one by a business advisor, and one by a lawyer. Now, we see probably 70-80% of the franchisees that come through don't have that signed off. So they waive their rights to get professional advice. Now, if you're not getting advice on investing $500,000, $800,000 or $1 million by an accountant, a lawyer and a business advisor, then perhaps, you know, you're not giving yourself the best chance to start off on the right foot.
So what you're saying here, which is very important, Mark, is don't go in there blind. Don't go in there and think you can do this all on your own. You need to go and get some advice.
Yeah, you do. And what we like to think about franchising is a different language. We talk about franchising as the language of French. So unless you...
French or French?
French. And our role at BDA is we like to educate. So we're talking to people that don't understand French, have no clue about French. So what we try to do is get them to understand all the nuances. And we need to bring all the French-speaking advisors together. 922
882 if you'd like to talk French. Franchising, we are talking this afternoon with Mark Fernandez, the Director of the Business Development Alliance. What if you own a business at the moment and you want to become a franchise? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, wonderful. Great question. We run these free seminars every now and then, and the next one's coming up later in November, which we're about to post, and it's about converting your business into a franchise. And it's not that easy. You've got to convert all your business systems, structures, and modelling into the language of French.
Yeah, and that would be all of a sudden trying to learn a new skill altogether that you don't know about.
Correct. And what franchising brings, it brings best practice. So if you don't have best practice and if you don't have a thirst for excellence, you're going to get caught out. And what we do is we need to make sure that your business is robust enough and has a sustainable working financial model for both the franchisee and the franchisor. So that's the starting point.
Absolutely. 922 882 for your questions to Mark Fernandez, the Director of the Business Development Alliance. Are there any particular rules or regulations that you need to know around franchises?
Oh, look, there's a plethora of them, all governed by the Franchising Code of Conduct. We talk about supply chains, approved suppliers. We talk about what's just come in the last 12 months with the Unfair Work Act, which is covering... the Vulnerable Workers Act that's just come in being enforced. There's a number of things. We talk about territories, marketing zones, exclusivity, price fixing. So it's all out there, and you need to get the right advice.
Yeah, you do need to get the right advice. It's very, very important. And if you are looking for a little bit more advice, or you want to get along to learn a little bit more about franchising, you've got a conference coming up very, very soon.
Yes, look, we're lucky enough to be putting on the WA State Franchising Conference on Tuesday, 9 October. We've got the Small Business Minister, Mr. Paul Papalia, giving a keynote address, which we understand is his first as the Small Business Minister to the business and franchising community. And the whole theme is around turning all the positive stories around and telling the public. There's so much doom and gloom out there right now. So we're lucky enough to have people like Robert West, the Jesters CEO, talking about what he's doing in these tough times to weather the storm. We also have a franchisor panel led by the General Manager of Bedshed, Mr. Gavin Calmise, Aroma Cafe's General Manager, Alicia Muley, the United Franchise Group, which they have two brands, which is the Embroidered Me brand and the Sinorama brand. Their Operations Manager or Estate Manager, Gerard Anthony, is joining us. And then from the services industry, we've got the Gym's Building Inspectors franchisor, Manny Van Bruin. He's going to sit on this panel as well. And then we've got a bit of an update. We've got some property leasing, but we've also been lucky enough to secure Rod Sinclair, who's a multi-unit franchisee for McDonald's. And he owns 4 restaurants and has about 500 staff working with him.
Yeah, right. Very successful indeed. So all of a sudden, a lot of those brands that you've just riddled off and from those industries, Mark, we all know and have heard of. So it's just sort of being aware as well. There's plenty of franchises in our community.
Massive. And, you know, the unwritten rule out there is about 65% of all shopping centres are franchisee based.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you're interested in getting in franchising at the State Franchise Conference, Tuesday, 9 October. Mark Fernandez, thank you for coming into the Perth Live studio.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. Director of the Business Development Alliance there is Mark Fernandez.